Hello and welcome back to blackgirlcouch Reviews. I'm your host Christina. We are back for the penultimate episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is part 5, written by Joby Harold and Andrew Stanton, directed by Deborah Chow once again. I really enjoyed this episode. I think it's the strongest thus far. I gave it a 9.8 out of 10. I really liked it from start to finish. It finally gave me what I had been really hoping for this show, the entirety of the arc that we've been following. I think the thing that works best for this series is the trajectory between the symmetry really between these three characters, all stemming from this one particular night, which is Order 66. This particular relationship, which is between Master and Padawan, and the fallout of that, which is what I really wanted to see in this series. I think that while Layla is a nice addition, I really love the actress. I think she does a wonderful job, but I feel in a lot of ways that she doesn't need to be there, particularly after episode 3. I think that is when things kind of circled back to where we originally had them. You know, she kidnapped Layla. It all started with that, which is exactly what Obi points out this episode. Like, she precipitated all of these events to where we are right now with the kidnapping of Layla. She knew that was his daughter. Maybe she doesn't know that that's his daughter. She knew about the connection enough. She knew that he was Anakin. That's not something she found in any type of records, despite her saying as much. And I'm glad we got the clarification on that. It was what we expected, but then they were able to give even more weight to what exactly happened. And I think that's important because while it's totally cool to root for the villain, I think Darth Vader looks awesome and amazing. He did like his thing this episode. I was so down for it. There is still that trauma that he has enacted wherever he goes based on his own trauma. You see how that warps how you're pulled to the dark side. And Reva, unfortunately, is a consequence of a lot of things going wrong that were in no way within her control. And her conversation with Obi this episode is probably one of the best things the series has produced thus far, along with showing the flashback of Anakin and his mentor or master, and the lessons that he was trying to teach him that unfortunately were not taught due to his own type of trauma in his life. So you can see how people are pushed to the dark side, and then how people continue down that path. And then what does people like Kenobi, who has a responsibility, what do they owe for the past actions that have happened? So I'm really curious to see how this series ends, because I think that they can either really shit it up in this last episode, or they can really bring what I mostly wanted from this series fully together, and I will be satisfied. And that was the relationship between Kenobi, Anakin, and Reva. Leia, I love her. She is adorable, but I don't need that story arc. I've gotten Leia. I know who she is as a person. I know who she is as an adult. I knew who she was before she died. It's nice that we get to see the little girl version. Everyone's talking about canon, but no one's talking about the fact that if this is canon, which they're putting in the show, because a lot of people are talking about why we're focusing on Reva, as if this isn't a 10,000-year-old story and this is one drop in the bucket of said story. The way people try to come up with their excuses for not liking The fact that Reva is a main character in this series cracks me up. So I'm like, by your own definition, don't you think it's weird that Layla had this close, loving, fatherly-like relationship with Obi-Wan, and we never got any of that in the future trilogies? we never heard her go, oh, I used to know a Jedi once who saved my life, and we had this whole entire rom-com thing going on together. Does it bother me? No. But clearly, if you're going to throw things out that, then you need to also be just as upset on that part, and you're not, and the reason why is obvious. But, yeah, I mean, the whole babysitting thing, or not babysitting, but I gotta get her back home. Like, at this point, she could have been back home. There's really no purpose for her still being here. I didn't like that she was recaptured, and then that whole interrogation. I'm not with that. You're not going to convince me that this pint-sized warrior, though I love her to death, is somehow stronger than someone who's been using the Force for much longer than she is even aware that she has a power to use them. No, that just did not. A lot of things in the last episode did not work for me. The escape did not work for me. The whole, I'm talking to Tala, like, nope. It's too many holes for me to enjoy that episode. So that's why I just did not do a podcast on it. But this one was amazing. This one was all I was needing, all I was wanting. I'm not going to go scene by scene, but we do start with going back into the past, and we see young Master and Padawan, Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they're doing a training session with their lightsabers. And I've been wanting to see a lightsaber battle between these two, because every time that Anakin or Vader shows up to have one of those, Obi be running like a bitch.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And we know that he's not, but I think that this episode made it a lot clearer of, maybe I don't want to get back into that second fight, because I don't want to have to do, like, I'm already suffering for the fact that I thought I did kill him. Look at what happened, and he thought he killed Anakin. Now I have to do this once again? I don't really want to, because maybe I don't want Anakin Skywalker dead, because I, myself, he was my brother. I loved him. He was my family. And that bond, the relationship they have, plays a factor in that, despite the fact that this is not a great person who has done terrible things. That plays well into the concept that Luke would go up, because this is the issue I've always had with Darth Vader. You can kill everybody in the universe, but you can't kill your own kid. That makes sense, but it also really shats on everything that came before it, right? It's kind of like, yes, you have this moment of him saying, "You're my father," or "Luke, I'm your father," and you have this idea of him not wanting to see his child die at the last minute after all that he's been through. That makes a lot more sense to him. But the idea that there's more that layered that story, I think that's always great to try to correlate. And I think that's what they are accomplishing with this series, is the complex nature of destroying the thing in which you have such a connection to. Reva is allowed aboard the Vader ship, which he says is a great honor. He's like, I'm not about civilities. Where is he? He's landing on Jabim as we speak, because the tracker worked. Vader says kneel. She looks a little uncomfortable, and he makes her Grand Inquisitor. And we would think all this time this is what she wanted. But I've been saying since that episode where she was very silently saying, I hope I do get what I'm owed, that felt as if it was not what she actually wanted. I think that she wanted the power or the trust of Vader so that she can get closer to him. So by showing that she's being led on this, or let onto this vessel that she's never been before, shows that she has had to rise in the rank of Inquisitor. We also know that this is the thing, Vader hates his Inquisitors. So the idea that he would be close to any of them was another big question mark for a lot of people, because he never quite liked or trusted his Grand Inquisitor or his Inquisitors. And I start to get a better understanding of what Reva's plan was this whole entire time. She wanted to use Vader's obsession with Obi-Wan to distract him enough so that she could find her opportunity to kill him. And that's not a terrible plan. It really isn't. No one was looking for Obi all this time. She was able to bring him out of the shadows, so to speak, and that reignited that feeling that Vader had. So he was using her to get to him. So it was a very complex game of chess that was being played between these characters. And despite a lot of people giving Reva like, oh, you thought to go after Vader, one, we all know that Vader was trained by the best. And no one's ever gonna say that you can't defeat someone. I mean, Arya Stark, it kind of reminded me a little bit. I think someone else made a joke about it. Is sometimes if you get your opportunity, you can win. So to say that you're silly for attempting it sounds like, what? That's to say that no one would ever win a battle. I mean, there's plenty of battles in history where people have been outnumbered, outgunned, out whatever, and they still manage to be the underdog and win by playing a game of chess. And I think she has been playing a game of chess. She has gotten them here. So you can't take that away from her to say that she ain't doing what she's done, or that she hasn't accomplished, as she told Obi, you know, I've done a lot to get here alone. And don't think that it wasn't with some type of sacrifice to my own soul. So of course, I'm going to follow this through and not all of a sudden 5 seconds be talked into or talked out of my intention or my plan. Because in a lot of ways, Reva has also been twisted by the dark side, which is exactly what the dark side does to you. It's not only another force that can prey on your darker emotions or your feelings and so on and so forth. It also has the capacity to twist your mind from the rational of where you are and fester it. So that's exactly what has happened to this child that unfortunately has been through more than she should have ever had to go through. And there's a lot of failure, because not only were we attacked, were we killed, were we abandoned, it was by the people that we trusted the most. And I want to keep reaffirming that, because we do have to get to that conversation, but that was one of the biggest and best things that came out. This was definitely her episode. Moses Ingram, I thought, did the damn thing this entire episode. She then goes to Jabim with the stormtroopers who can't shoot for shit. They get to where all of the other escapees are. Haja's there, and he knows that he's been followed. So they besiege the facility, trying to knock it down so that they can get in. And he realizes that he's going to have to stall for time and tries to negotiate with Reva. He also has everyone, prepared. We need to stand and fight, but also we need to escape, because he's like, look, he knows me. He knows that I will not allow you guys to die. But I also feel that that's because you've been brought into or forced out of your retirement, so to speak. But before then, for the last however many years, you've rather had abandoned everyone else. You have turned your back on those that need you. So to say that that's not something that you would do when it's in your face, yes, you cannot ignore that, but you did self-exile yourself for that exact reason, so you don't have to make these types of choices. And that shouldn't be somehow, and I feel like that is a little bit understated, because I love Obi as well, but we're not as keen to acknowledge the flaws of our heroes than we should be. And I think that this is, once again, sound like a broken record, one of the better things of this series is that they are showing that there are flaws with your heroes. There's flaws in your villains. There's not a black and white to the issue. It was gray in the end because he made it gray. But George Lucas definitely was not concrete on his own thought processes when he was making Star Wars. And if you don't believe me, go and actually read the Star Wars lore. Anyone who's a true fan will know, like, how the fuck you gonna have a brother and sister kiss because you made them a couple and then you all of a sudden said, no, it's better if they're twins. That was a last minute ditch ass. I mean, he made a lot of on the fly decisions. His show, his movie, he could do whatever he wants, but there was definitely some question mark decisions along the way. But where I was going with this is him realizing that he's going to have to eventually try to use himself as the bait to help these other people that are basically only being brought into this because he's trying to get Leia home. And that's where I'm not really feeling that particular side of the arc. Tala shares her story that she used to work for the Empire, or when she was working for the Empire, she didn't know what the Inquisitors would do. She realized that they massacred everybody. And that's when she realized that working for the Empire was no good. And we saw that in Mandalorian as well with Bill Burr's character, which is one of the best characters in Mandalorian, as someone who used to be a stormtrooper who puts a name to these people. You know, we just call them this, but there is something to be said for those that are drafted into this or believe that the Empire was something that it wasn't, that there is something evil at its center, but it's not common knowledge. Only those that feel oppressed are going to feel oppressed. Those that don't feel oppressed aren't going to feel so. And then you have the cult-like mentality of the Empire, the way in which you have others swaying others. I love when they take what is this story and put more depth into it other than the rather cookie cutter version, which is nothing wrong with, that we get. But this is meat. This is the meat that I wanted, the meat with the potatoes that I was needing on my dish, because I never felt full with the story that I was being told. So things like this, and I hope that they continue little projects like this. It doesn't need to be every little character in every little series, which is what they kind of feel like they're doing a little bit, 'cause, you know, Disney. But definitely in Mandalorian and hopefully in Boba Fett, a lot more to be able to look at the other side of that coin that isn't quite so black and white. So Tala tells her story. Leia is given agency. They need someone to go up in a ladder and watch the door or something to that effect. She decides that she's going to volunteer to do it. One dude's like, nah, you're just a kid.
What did you say, nigga?
Kenobi's like, give her a ladder. Don't you know she's going to be controlling, or she's going to be in charge of the resistance, man. Let her do her job. Obi receives a message from her father, or, you know, what I'm talking about. And he says, look, I know I said no contact. However, I'm getting worried at the silence, and if I do not hear from you soon, I'm gonna, because if Vader knows about the children, I'm gonna head to Tatooine. Now, how this message comes into effect at the end, I am curious to know. That's when Kenobi realizes he needs to talk to Reva. One of her guys tells her he wants to negotiate. She decides that she will have this conversation that she really doesn't want to have, but is kind of drawn to have. What was Kenobi doing was he just trying to read her mind when she went to the door? Because I wasn't quite sure what he was doing at first. I thought that's what he was going to try to use the Force to talk to her. But he doesn't realize that she doesn't have that. And that's also kind of so sad for Reva and her stories. A lot of people's like, I'm sad for Reva, but shoot. There's not I'm sad for Reva, but Reva is a tragedy, in my humble opinion. Her entire arc is a tragedy because it began at that night. And everything afterwards you can say was a choice, but fuck. I would love to see you crawl out of witness people being massacred. People don't just come back from that. Ain't no therapy up in this world. And everyone that could have helped you just abandoned you. So, there is no but for me. Side note, Ewan McGregor can still get it. He was looking hella sexy this whole episode. So he approaches the door and she says, Vader is not going to give you any clemency. And he says, you mean Anakin? And he wants to know, how you know that was Anakin? Because he would have kept that information to himself. And we know that Anakin he kills anyone who knows who he is. And I'm wondering, is this just simply, because he was simply allowing her to lead him to, he needed her and her talents to actually lead him to Obi-Wan. So the idea that a lot of people took something from that fight, which it could have been, but I actually took a different take on that fight, and we'll get there when we get there. But in this, he says, how did you know he was Anakin? And he starts to put it together, wait a minute, unless you were there, but how could you have survived? And then that's when she's like, stop. This is too close to a lot of still very tender wounds, and I'm gonna need you to back the fuck up off. But of course not. And she realizes that she does need to tell her story, which we saw in an earlier scene. When she sees that sign, she is immediately pulled back. I love going back and watching her scenes coming up into this moment of her revealing that yes, she was there, that she saw Anakin come in, she thought he was there to help them, and then she watched him slaughter the only family that she's ever known. And not only did she slaughter them, she tried to help them, but she was too weak to do so. And upon him leaving, she hid amongst the bodies of her friends, of her family, until they went cold.
Whoa, that's fucking mean.
And that's when he puts it together that you are not serving him. You are out for revenge. To kill him, I can help you. She says, why would I don't need your help. Because where were you? Where were you when all of this was going down? You could feel the pain. And I love the way these two actors, through a door, mind you, because I was like, God damn it, why couldn't they have this conversation in person? But it worked better actually through the door, because she can't see how much that hearing that noise impacted him. He didn't understand what brought her to this point, but he knows that it's something more than what she, even the fact that, they're the only two people, right, in this moment that know this very deep, dark secret about Vader. And so that automatically creates an intimacy that you're not going to have with anyone else, because right? You were there. You were just as betrayed on that night more so than anyone else, because it's a visceral feeling of being right there. And then you then walked away from that 13 years later, whereas, is it 13? Yeah. Whereas she was left in the dirt, was pulled up by these people, and then once she was brought into this, has been doing everything to gain favor with Vader so that she can get close enough to kill him. And she says, "You have no idea what I have done alone." And then she takes a saber and opens that door like it was never a problem in the first place. Like, basically, I'm allowing you guys. And it does feel like that. I feel like going back, it feels she let them leave off of. She's been setting the stage of how she wants this to go down. Even before, prior, she wanted to go and witness that fight. She needed to witness that fight that was going to go down. But she also saw that bot going in that direction, and she didn't think to follow said bot, which I would have thought she would do versus ever following any orders. But Vader, I guess, gave her those orders, so she would have a harder time not convinced of that. But we all knew on some level, because everyone couldn't stop bitching about the fact that the Grand Inquisitor is like, that's canon. Ugh. Clearly he's not dead if he's in Clone Wars, so something's gonna happen between now and then to clear that up, you fucking impatient fucks. But I also, like, from the moment I knew that, I was like, he's coming back at some point, because he can't help himself. He has a disgust for her that I feel wouldn't be the way it was if he didn't think that he was using her for some capacity. Like, I just, it never ever crossed my mind that that the Grand Inquisitor was somehow dead or wasn't going to come back in some capacity to fuck her over. We just didn't know how big it was what's the word? Deception. So she gets in, there's a fight, Tala sacrifices herself along with, I don't know if I was more sad about Tala or I was more sad about, oh shoot, the bot. Aww. They both did a bomb, got through the doors. Vader shows up. He always has the same, "Oh, he's not dead yet? I'll do it myself."
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Before that boss ass scene, Kenobi gives himself up to Reva. He pretty much uses her. Like, you can go ahead and kill him when you deliver me to him. But everyone was playing chess, because he's like, I'm going to use you as a distraction. She thought she was using him as a distraction. And Vader's like, nope. And they are able to get away once again. However, I will say, after realizing that you yourself are kind of culpable in the trajectory of which this character has gone on, I'm not saying he shouldn't have, right? You know, I gotta get all these other people away because he's gonna kill them. And Layla's there. I get that part. But at the same time, bruh, this is your mess. You need to clean this shit up. You need to get down there, get your lightsaber, and handle your damn business with Vader, because you know you're the only person that can step up to that fight. You knew she was gonna get killed, and you basically left her to be sacrificed, even though it was her choice. Yes, I totally agree and get that. But on the other hand, that's once again, in my humble opinion, walking away from your responsibility here to avoid a fight. And that's what I was kind of looking at him like, on one hand, I see exactly why this was the choice. But on the other hand, you wouldn't be putting other people in danger if you would just go ahead and have this second round. Like, go ahead and confront. Like, because you could have easily got those. You could have done exactly what Reva did. You know, fought him, got the people off because he would have been distracted and not caring about them. And then it could have been you also helping this former youngling that was absolutely fucked over for the rest of her life due to this one event. Just my personal opinion, I thought that would have been at least some accounting for. Like, you know what? I did fail all you younglings, but I'm not going to fail you. Even though you have moved to the dark side the same way Anakin has moved to the dark side. Y'all both are impatient. They both a little ambitious. Both pig-headed, stubborn. That's why I really like the fight between them, because it is like looking in a mirror in a lot of ways. Reva did have that potential. She could have been a good Jedi. She was never trained to be a good Jedi. She was never allowed her full potential. And then he says, well, I guess that's what it is, and dipped out with a little girl by his side, because that was what his goal was, even though she could have went off in that ship and been just fine. So I really was not feeling, or I won't say I wasn't feeling it. I had questions when he ran away once again, citing Layla and her protection. I'm like, I think she would have been fine. No one wants Layla at this moment, and only you know who she is. Then we have the fight between, well, first Vader comes in, and the ship decided it was about to pull off, but he said, you thought.
Get over here! Fuck, shit, pussy, ass, motherfucking damn, bitch, bitch, damn, motherfucking ass, pussy, shit, fuck!
Then he ripped off it just started tearing metal from the ship, except he ended up being fooled because they had a smaller ship that got away, and he used all his energy, because you saw he was laboriously breathing, so it's not as if you could just use the Force willy-nilly. He's very powerful with using the Force. We saw finally him doing so, which that was the great part. Don't get me wrong. But Reva then took her opportunity, thinking, okay, he's used the Force, he's a little bit weaker. Once again, I just don't like the diminishing, like, oh, she's stupid to do that. No, that's not stupid at all. It is unfortunate that her reasoning was overwhelmed by her. Well, it wasn't even reasoning. That was the most chance you're ever gonna get to kill Vader if other dude is not even gonna stay around long enough till I can help you. How you really helping me though? Because you will not pick up a lightsaber to save your life. People always gotta hand it over to you. Like, don't you need a weapon? Will you take this, Obi, and do your job? But yeah, it's not silly for her to have taken this shot. This was what she had. This is the closest she was going to get to this particular opportunity, and so she did it. And it went well for Vader, and I think that's where everybody's like, oh, he was too strong, he was too powerful. But you can enjoy one character's greatness without diminishing another character's greatness as well, because I thought she handled herself effectively in that fight. It was easy in the sense that he has something she doesn't, which is the access to the Force that he can use. But I thought as a dueler with a lightsaber, she was doing enough. It was all raw emotion. It was all of that pain, all of that anger. And we see that in the flashback, which I loved. And you see that he actually learned the lesson from Obi-Wan about how that anger, and that's why I said that the symbolism here, that's what matters more than anything else, is that symbolism that this is Anakin at that stage, and this is what he became. And the question remains still is Reva going to continue down this path and become this? Or is this it for Reva? Because she took a huge, gut shot, but so didn't the Grand Inquisitor, and we just saw his ass pop back up and just be fine. All you need is a back to tank. And thus, they're giving or allowing that opportunity, because someone said, well, this will be her redemption. She doesn't need, or does she want, a redemption? That is something we as viewers and audience members like to attach to characters, which we already had a whole pet peeve spiel about how I feel about redemption arcs versus atonement. But we will not get into that today. That's not what the characterization is desiring, needing, or wanting. That's not her goals. And I think after she's finally had her opportunity, it becomes a question of, does she continue down this dark path? Or does she see some type of atonement for her own self, her own soul? Right? She's not apologizing for shit. She knows what it is that she's done, and she knows who she is because of it. It's just, is this revenge, this idea of revenge, going to erode her the way it eroded Vader? Right? I mean, because Anakin started off, it all started off as a revenge. It all started off from a loss. It all started from the exact same place that Reva is coming from. So I enjoyed that fight between them. I love her just doing that overkick. I love that she was able to hit the one sword and he was able to get the second one, like Obi showed him in the flashback. But you see, even in that scene, that there were those whispers, right? Those signs that Master Kenobi saw about his Padawan, and he wanted him, because he loved Anakin, you know, and he wanted him to be better than that, and he thought he could teach him better than that. However, those seeds were already there before the trauma even happened. So that, I love seeing that little part of him seeing, you know, both Vader and Kenobi thinking about that moment where it was there. It was right there in front of me. What could have happened, or what would happen if, if he could be put onto the dark side. That's why I keep saying he's your Padawan, meaning he was yours to train. You knew him better than anyone, and you seen that violence, that need for to win, to conquer. All of that was there, and it was just an event that sealed his fate, so to speak. So after the fight, he ends up that scene of him and she flashing back and seeing Anakin, I thought that was just chef's kiss. Mwah. And then he stabs her, because it really hits home. Just, this is someone who is so lost and still so young and still so stuck in that moment. I thought that was really profound. Great directing, really, for this episode. And she's left for dead, and the Grand Inquisitor comes in and says, I told you was stuck in the mud. Ugh, I wanted to literally take something and rip his own head off.
Don't you lecture me with your $30 haircut.
I think that also goes to show, as evil as she isn't that evil. As much as she would love to believe that she's the worst, and that's not to say she hasn't done terrible things, because she was so ready to torture Leia, which is why I don't think that she knows that he's Anakin's daughter. Like, I don't think she knows that. She doesn't know that personally. But she does find it out when she finds Bail Organa's message on Kenobi's transmitter, which he conveniently left behind, and he says something's wrong. And I don't know if he was like, something's wrong, that she knows that where Luke is, or is he concerned about his youngling? Because I feel like there should be some concern there. I don't know why, but hearing her story, that would make me feel like, wow, I really fucked up in the past. I really could have done more, and then I could have even intervened here at some point if I had never self-exiled myself due to my own pain, which that's fair. I'm not saying it isn't, but it like I said, it's just the consequence. It's the aftermath of your decisions, whatever place you were at that time. That's pretty much the excuse for Vader every time. It's like, he's so cool, he's so evil, but you can feel Vader because you knew Anakin. So knowing that person gives you a little bit more empathy for Vader. Knowing Reva gives you more empathy for Reva is what this episode is trying to put out there. And Obi is still just running from that. And I think we are gonna, since they showed Luke, we're gonna go back to Tatooine. I don't know if I just can't see Vader showing up to Tatooine. That's where I'm a little lost of where they could possibly take this last episode. I think Reva, knowing that she's out for revenge, it's either two ways. She could use this information, because someone was saying she's gonna go back and ask for B-Quinn. I'm like, what would you? I don't like that. Would really that would literally shoot the foot of everything they have accomplished thus far. Like, that would be just the weirdest thing if she went back to Vader, which that also showed. I'm not sure what that actually, I think that you could read Vader only stabbing her and walking away. Like, I could see it all the time, youngling. Of course you could see it. But the fact that he even called her youngling, meaning, did he know who she was though? Because he said, I've been watching you. So at some point she came under his radar, probably because she was the only person that started to seek Obi-Wan, which put him under her radar. Or her under his radar. But I don't remember if Vader knew that Luke was his son prior to them having that whole, like, when did he find that out? Like, I felt that was during the battle when he's like, you're trying to protect your sister. Like, he was figuring that all out as it went down, from what I recall from the original. So I don't see her somehow telling Vader. She could possibly get there in her warped mind and think, okay, let me try to hurt Luke, or take Luke to hurt Vader, because her goal now, we know, is to hurt Vader, right? She wants him to feel the loss of his family the way she felt the loss of her family. So that makes more sense to me, is that she would make a play for Tatooine to try to hurt Luke, which of course a lot of people are gonna really not love that. Well, she did it, but knowing where she's come from, and then watching, in my humble opinion, once again, Obi continued to, like, he used her, but on one hand, well, yeah, he did. He used her, but he used her own anger against her. But she was already gonna do what she wanted to do, so it's complicated. But yeah, I could see her feeling like, well, I'm about to die. I have nothing else worth living for. Why would I not try to take this last bit of revenge against the one person that I want to take revenge against the most? And I think, if anything, that would be the perfect opportunity for Obi-Wan to finally get through to her, and maybe Luke realize this is something, like, I would love for that to be the case. Like, Obi gets through to Reva, and then Luke understands or seeing this, because Obi was always in the background. He never really knew him, right? But this having some impact on him in his later life, like, oh yeah, maybe there is something in there worth saving when you have these evil people, or maybe not. I don't know. But I don't feel like Luke is involved here. I feel like it is more about, I think we had enough of Vader. I think it should end somewhere between Reva and Obi, and him understanding and taking account for where his failures were, particularly when it came to the ones that were victims, could not protect themselves and needed his help, and his help was not there to be given. So that's where I think that it's going. I don't think she's gonna link back up with Vader, because that just doesn't make any sense to me. And hopefully they do it right, but I think that they will, because I think they have been doing a really good job with the symmetry of these three people, and showing how much they are alike, and also deeply affected by this one event, Order 66, which was terrible. Seeing Anakin come in and slaughtering those kids, I was like, yeah. I think people know he did it, but people are just like, and some are still just like, oh, well, you know, but that's really fucked up. That's you're taking out a whole generation of Jedi. That's fucked up. And I still haven't forgot the fact that Obi's like, don't come here. They didn't even bring that up. I thought they were going to bring up the message of him being like, don't come here. Because he knows what he did. And that is the conclusion of the episode. So yeah, one of the better episodes of the series. What I was looking forward to the most. And yeah. If you want to send feedback on the finale, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. You can leave a comment below on this podcast. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until the next time, peace, hair grease, black girl magic.